Hello and welcome to the moment. I've here today with me the peace dealer and Lynn, and going to talk about the undercurrents of modern society. And I don't know. I kind of was thinking about starting it off with something I'd seen you make, the peace dealer, about the neo Renaissance, and it really sparked my interest. So I don't know if you could tell something more about it. Like what's going on with that? What are you seeing?
Wow, great question. I feel like with so much new mediums and platforms that are blowing up out of control, most individuals now are hit with a culmination of so many experts mastering their field to where now, unlike 10 years or 20 years ago, if I want to learn how to play guitar, if I want to learn how to produce music, if I want to learn how to sing, there's about like 60,000 people in the real world online who can teach me how to do that. And there's so much technology now that makes production so much more simple and efficient that it's just going to put so much more individuals in the you know it's going to put so much individuals in the position to create art like never before. And that's just, to me, I think the catalyst to this neo renaissance, where it's just so much more expression as opposed to certain mainstream industry planted celebrities that are the only actors or singers who can like sing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. I feel that like you had said also that there's way more space for real authenticity with regards to that too. It's like where people can be more real and way more relatable than like a lot of the stuff that's going on like yeah on TV and like a lot of other platforms too, like the old mainstream stuff.
Much agreed, yeah. And just seeing and reading all sorts of like, scripted and manufactured moments. And I really love that you said that too, because that's, I think, been the most refreshing part of so many viral moments, just how candid and real it is. So yeah, that's definitely also awesome. Really looking forward to how that all develops, because I also feel like right now is another like impulse and tidal wave too. So that's pretty exciting to
Mm-hmm.
see where we take that.
So now that Mars and Venus are basically moving together through Capricorn and soon moving into Aquarius, how do you see that's gonna play out, or what that could mean for the collective?
Oh no, that's a really great question. So in the tarot, Mars in Capricorn is the three of pentacles of teamwork. So this is like you know, individuals with their own unique skills coming together so that commercial transactions can take place, but really so that the dream can work through teamwork. And you have maybe one person who's really good at drawing, then you have another person who's really good at marketing, and then you have another person who's really good at branding. And like the Three of Pentacles, Mars and Capricorn is everyone coming together so that, success could be achieved. and Venus in Capricorn helps polish that. But it going into Aquarius to me means that, like Capricorn, everyone was organized. Everyone had to decide what they want to do, how they want to contribute. It going over Pluto, I feel like, is awakening the purpose and direction. And now going into Aquarius to me is now manifesting that direction through now Mars and Venus expressing team movement. So now, it's brought everyone together who's meant to belong together. And now we're going to see the mission be acted on. So I feel like Mars and Venus in Capricorn brought everybody to like Starbucks. And now Mars and Venus in Aquarius is where everyone in Starbucks cafe acts off of the mission that they're meant to do. And the Aquarius portion to me more is like now actually experiencing that collective connection where the actions we've taken are now coming together. Because I think the key here is the Saturn conjunction, and that's what's gonna like add so much purpose. And ironically, while that's happening, it's gonna be Aries season, so it's just gonna push off that next like cycle. But whereas you came individually, now you know who you're connected with, and how your mission is connected with those people, which is really exciting. Also,
Very exciting spring ahead of us.
absolutely, absolutely. One for the books. Yeah, it probably will feel like nothing we've ever experienced before, kind of like with all the world events, but definitely exciting nonetheless. Look forward to that.
Yeah. I don't know what like with kind of what has been like going on, like what I've been like picking up on with regards to like the more I guess lower underbelly of society, like what seems to be like some movements that I've seen, um, is that there's a lot of like stuff that is being played to like keep to keep people in some sense of state of fear and all kinds of stuff like that. But like the whole like Ukraine thing, like after that with like the whole COVID stuff, and I, I don't know, like I started to see more and more that like there's like this whole like division game that's being played, and like with this party against that party, and like different groups against each other, that there's like an underlying element to it all, where it seems in general that kind of like what I'm feeling that is being attempted is like a breaking free from that like rigid controlled structure, where we're moving more towards what I would say the hero archetype, and like finding out like who we are as a person, and how we fit into the whole in a manner that's much more authentic than like the current forced state of things. And I kind of feel like that like a lot of things have been like shifting towards that, and there has been a lot of things breaking down to make that happen, I feel.
Especially, that forced narrative with all this division, and it's fascinating to me how well timed it is, or obviously timed it is. Like, as soon as one event ends, it's the next event. And it's I think this is a part of this neo renaissance you're speaking of, because what adds a new element to it is before, propaganda was mainly spread through newspaper and then television, but now, the social media engine and all these digital outlets that, I mean, you can't open up a browser or any app without some news headline popping up, almost like wanting to get your attention desperately. So, it's one person might see that as like just, a news headline, but it's more and more almost like a form of witchcraft. It's like, this persuasive element to get your attention, and even if subconsciously influence your mood and behavior, even if you disagree with it. So I've come to really look at it all with a different respect. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I think what's cool is more than ever, people like you and I and all of us were awakening more and more to it, and there's more and more people willing to say and do something about it, and that also, is coming to a huge head, and maybe even a turning point as of now, where now the narratives start to shift more towards the truth.
It really seems like that it's going like even like that more and more people are actually seeing through it. Everything does.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. 2020 taught me that more people are awake than I ever thought so, which was really cool. Just, I mean, yeah, of course, there are people who still give in to the uh, programming, but I would say even amongst them, they some of them know too, regardless of how they deal with it. So yeah, I'm really excited for spring though. Once again, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know, like that what you said, like popping up in apps and stuff. It's like it reminds me of like what I had like just a few days ago. I wasn't following anything regarding to the whole Ukraine thing, and then it just popped up a notification from YouTube. Did you know about nuclear war? And it's just like, oh, really, YouTube? You're trying to like spread fear, are we? It's like, but I don't know. It's like I've noticed it like a lot because like I've looked a lot into like the whole nudging stuff that they've been doing, like the with like COVID too, like how they had like something funded by the BBC and some other news agencies. They were organizing to like push like a certain narrative and stuff like that, and yeah, it's just, but it has made it so obvious too, though. Like what has had happened, so that's like a very good thing. But I kind of at the same time feel like that there's like here this um, I guess this moment in the myth that is being played out with like really like that like more like darker rigid structure of like Kronos, like a tyrannical father structure versus like Zeus coming in, waking everyone the fuck up, and there is like this moment now where there is like you have like the that maiden archetype that's more like passive, let's like waits for the world to tell them shit, versus the more like hero archetype that's more mature and like really like acts into the world. And I kind of feel like that with like the upcoming spring, that like it really like will start to unfold more and more, because I have seen it unfold more and more within the especially the last like months, that like a lot of has been happening, a lot of like rumblings in the underbelly, in the underground.
Interesting that you mentioned the underground too, because that I feel like with the Uranus Saturn square is like making the underground mainstream in a certain sense, and just like bringing up exploding certain niches that like probably were never popular, and now they're just like everyone's talking about it, maybe at least for 2 weeks. But yeah, and also just with so much being exposed. One thing that also everything else said just kind of keep me into is we're still in a space where we're processing so much information at once. Compared to how people did like 10, 20, 30 years ago. So there's so much that we have to catch up to and still have yet to catch up to. And I think we've reached a point where now we've processed so much of the past decade, we can move forward with it. But there's still just so much more exponential, like explosions of information in our whole metaverse. So yeah, I'm like I said once again, just super excited because I think we're finally at the verge of a new frontier.
I've already seen, like in past years, like a real interest in people for the different healing modalities, healing arts like Reiki and sound healing or astrology and everything. That's probably part of what's gonna be coming more and more into awareness.
Totally agree, especially with the sound baths for sure. And maybe just incorporating that technology, like sound engineering, into like even mainstream music. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think that's awesome. Just to see it also embraced more by the youth too, and to see them popularize it in their own way, of course. That's a tell.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I also kind of feel that overall that like now with like the north node in, I think it is Taurus, and the south node in Scorpio, like that there is also like a more of a focus of dealing with like certain elements from the shadow too. And I think it also ties in with a lot what Carl Jung has been talking about too, like that need of dealing with it and integrating certain parts to bring that um, to shed light on it in that sense. And yeah, and in that sense, like the healing is also very much important. I think too, because there is so much. I don't know. There's like some part of the structure, but also um, overall, like how certain people seem to be relating to each other is in some manner of um, being more well, controlling, and more like more of a dynamic of parent child that like plays out and throughout more of it throughout society. And I'm yeah, I'm seeing like that it's changing. And yeah, but I wonder like what you've noticed going on in your spheres of have you noticed like a more of an unfolding of personality and authenticity away from like the whole mainstream narrative?
That's a really good question. And it invites me back to what you were saying about the underbelly and the underground. and even Undercurrents. It's very gradual, and it's almost as if like new words or names are being used for them. I think another component of this is a lot of people who are authentic like that they're not the most vocal, so they're not the ones going out and like making announcements or posts or doing too much socially. So it's almost like a silent majority of individuals that are slowly but surely getting ready to come into prominence, power, really use their voice. And yeah, I would even say we are seeing that I think is one of the most important questions you asked, because that's how influential and effective the mainstream media is, because it paints this false illusion of the collective. And so realistically speaking, majority of people I would say on the planet are probably not believing or against the mainstream narratives, but the media is able to make it look like the opposite and make it look like we're in the minority. Make it look like there's so much people who give in to a lot of this when most people may at most, I think, be half and half, or at least just not necessarily as totally agreeing, which is, I mean, just how effective they are to continue to play this deception for years. So yeah, I think, but I think in route to your question too, we are going to see more now, a turning point where we see more of who's been silent more vocal, or at least more active, and to see this kind of flip over. So yeah, really great question. Sweet.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I know myself, like some people in my own like on social sphere that have started like to start to speak out more and more too, and like I started to like yeah, pick up on that too, like with the whole illusion thing. Really during the whole like pandemic period too.
Yeah.
That like, wait. You're saying like that these amount of people are believing these things, but then when you really like look at it and dig into it, it's just like, well, but who the fuck are you even asking? And then you start to look into that, and then it's just like, oh wow, you're just, there's a whole bunch of like deception going on in that sense. And yeah, and that's just to like, yeah, give that illusion, and then just to tell something. It's like something that it reminds me of something from years ago, where the Dutch government was saying something like more and more people are buying electric cars and stuff like that, or something along those lines. And then turned out like it wasn't even true if you looked at it, but they were just saying it and people were believing it. And then
Yeah.
and then people like, but it was just a lie to get people to buy those freaking electric cars. And it's just like,
Right.
yeah, and it's just to manipulate them. And yeah, and I'm really feeling like that um those manipulation tactics have been like going on different levels too. It's like more personal. I've noticed it um with it, or like, well, especially with people who legit seem to buy into the narrative to some degree. But I think it's more like of a playing out of like the or like a playing out of like what is being pushed on them, and they're buying into it, and they're just becoming the agents of the narrative in some sort, in some sense. And because the weird thing is that I knew of them that they were doubting too, but then they got barraged by the media for so long that they started parroting it, because they felt like, well, everyone is believing it, so I'd better go and parrot this, because otherwise, oh fuck, I'll get ostracized by society. And I kind of feel like this fear of being ostracized, and it's this fear of being an outcast, is kind of being used by them to keep people in line, because there's like a legit fear in that, because
Yeah.
all the way back, I mean, if you would be an outcast, you would you might die, all the way
Right.
back, and that fear of death is just being evoked constantly. I mean, think about 9/11, the pandemic, now Russia, with Ukraine and stuff. It's every time it's invoking death, and that's why I feel that spirituality is like so like that they're shitting on like a lot of like spiritual things, and also trying to repress like certain like spiritual and astrological insights, because it would help people um, to get past that point of being constantly in fear. It's the same with like the whole Wim Hof breathing stuff. That like in some countries, that during the pandemic, the Wim Hof, like the Iceman dude, who had like some breathwork method for like staying calm, he was smeared by the media, because yeah, they said like it's way too extreme, even though it wasn't. It's like you would just be calm and you wouldn't like be in the fear narrative, but it's like it's breaking apart now, I feel.
No, most definitely. And I mean, the whole notion of deception is just so real. As far as like, I really love how you said it too, and um, not so much just people giving into it, but I mean, just how blatant it is, and I guess how long that over and over, when you push this fear and violence, it has a psychological effect neurolinguistically, so that even if consciously you don't agree with it, you're just so used to it. It's just everything you see everywhere you go, and that is just 100% truth. Like this narrative, even spirituality, like they'll trend spirituality up to a point that they can control that narrative with simple law of attraction, sayings, but up to a point, yeah, they're going to suppress anything else. And uh, just this extreme pushing of urgency to convince people that what they're broadcasting is so important, and that it could affect you. It's just such powerful psychological manipulation. And as more people, but it's crazy because once again, I feel like a lot of, I mean, for years people have always been talking about the news, like the whole trope about the news not being the most or always pushing fear. I know for 2 decades, if not more. So thankfully it's not anything new, right? But I know with the advent of like now independent news outlets, and also one thing you brought up really great, with independent news outlets, there's going to be like greater voices, but you did point out how like they outright lie, knowing that it's going to work. And that's the scary part, because these organizations influence so much, and they push, so they literally pay money to get like authority figures and experts to bring ethos to the brand. If they did lie, how would we know? um, Unless there was a whistleblower that really shares that. And, that's few and far between. So, how much more are we not being told? And I think we're in a unique period where all of that is being revealed and exposed of what we're not being told. And I'm definitely enjoying the show for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but like with all of that, it's just like, yeah, I'm kind of glad that like it's now like starting to become more obvious, and that it is being more exposed now, because it is just I guess in that sense, so it would allow a lot of people to take back their power, um,
Hmm.
in that sense. And yeah, but there's another like psychological element to it too, with the fear, because I've been like looking into that, and kind of what it does with the wave after wave of fear is that it keeps the human brain in their lower part of their brain in a constant like fear alert state, and it dials down some cognitive functions of the brain. So it messes with the brain being constantly in that fear mode, and it makes it so that it literally makes it so people are easier to control, because they become more like, well, hurt like in some sense, but it's only because of the fear being used. But the thing is that those type of tactics are like one of the oldest in the book. It's like Aristotle wrote about those already, like way back in ancient Greece, about like about using like an enemy, or like real or imagined, to basically keep the populace in line with like fear, and but also not just fear, but hate, contempt, all kinds of dark emotions. And in that sense, I kind of feel like that. I don't know, that a lot of the proper community is kind of like under attack, due to that too, because it's like, if you have that proper structure, it's harder to be in that fear state, because you have something to support you in that sense. And yeah, it's like the people being alone is a very big thing too, and it's like, I'm kind of feeling like, yeah, that there's this need for people really like starting to see like, hey, I'm not alone, because
Right. Yeah.
that's what they want you to think, that you are alone, but you're not.
Absolutely.
And it's a deception that you are, and in that sense. And they're all there, but you have to reach out and stand together, and not just like truth, but like, in that sense, share a sense of love too, because one of the biggest thing that one can do to, I, yeah, to do to not allow that fear in. Because if you're filled up with community and love, and all those good things, it's like, it's not gonna get to you as easily.
I love that you said that it highlights we're not alone, because that's been the biggest, like, uh it's been huge. I mean, so many people who over the past 2 years have been censored just for speaking out and sharing the truth. It's gotten people scared of, like, what backlash they'll get. They don't even know what to say or not that might cause them ridicule. Doctors to lose their certification just because they're commenting on what's happening. So to see people, despite that, use their voice and platform has been such a light for people. To see that there are other people around them, or out there, who do voice the same ideas, because it's exactly as you said, they go so hard to scrub counter arguments or rhetoric that they can make it look like it's just one narrative, and everyone believes this narrative, and if you don't, something's wrong with you, when in reality it's probably the other way around. So it's crazy, but I think that's why meme culture is so popular, because memes remind everyone that, oh my gosh, like, these experiences we think we just go through, like 50,000 other people online, identify with it too. So, yeah, I really feel like that whole aspect concept is something that's going to grow and is going to be the key in overcoming this, which is, I mean, it's awesome that we can connect together on Discord and,
Yeah.
and just really talk about this all. So it's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I don't like that. It kind of like that with the meme culture reminds me of something that I talked a very long time ago about. I think it's like something after 2016 or something about like Pepper the Frog. There was like one video that Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Peugeot had made together about Pepper the Frog and about the story of the princess and the frog, and with regarding to like the princess losing the golden ball. That's like that what is good about society into the pond, and that the frog was going into the water to like dive deep into the shadow to retrieve the ball and then bring it back. And what kind of hit me, like, well, today, really, what hit me was like, huh. Well, the princess is in like psychological, like Jungian terms, like the way we relate to the world and to others and in society, and that the golden ball is that goodness, and kind of that um, in that sense that it's our individual task to bring that like little piece of the puzzle of goodness that we have found somewhere in the shadow and bring that back into the whole of the societal puzzle.
Especially because I think a lot of people have lost faith in that goodness, and that there's still goodness in humanity. So I mean, yeah, that'll be uh, interesting how faith is further restored or more lost, which will depend on this next year. I think this 2022 is like ironically the decider of what direction we're going to go into next decade. So that's going to be very, very important. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've been like I've been looking at it and in that regard, and yeah, I don't know, like it really depends on like on what's going on, but I do believe that we can do it. It's like there's so many people waking up, standing up, speaking out, that like it's kind of why I feel like why they're like censoring so hard and being very aggressive with regarding to a lot of things. It's like they one of the weirdest things that I'd noticed was something that like Google is even censoring trees, like the birch tree, because of medical, like health benefits of drinking its sap. Yeah, because it's antiviral. It's like it prevents viral infections, and they're censoring it. It's like, but I looked into that. It's because of COVID that they're censoring it, and they were saying that like, yeah, it's crazy. I think you're muted.
Sorry, that makes no sense as a reason to censor it. Like why they would even do that. That's crazy. And that's been another thing that, like, if you're not familiar with, like, reasoning and logic, it it'll be so easy to miss it'd be so easy to be misled and almost forget the fact that everything they're doing is not based at all in logic. It's just almost exactly everything that has been done, especially since 2020. There's a logical fallacy that could be attached to it. So many straw men being built, red herrings being and ad hominems to censor people. But like Jesus Christ, I mean, that whole notion that, oh, we need to censor this to protect your safety, like this just completely made up. It's crazy to see this happening in front of our face too, and coming up with a response. So all big respect to the people who have used their platform and voice to speak out and take action against that in whatever way they do, which I don't think there's a right or wrong way.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, but in a grander sense, there is something that I don't know. Like I've been looking into that myself for some time with like the grander like age of Aquarius, because then like the union, I guess, yeah, the unions are like very much interested in that type of stuff too. And yeah, I'm just myself really been like struggling like to well, in some sense see like how the I guess you could call them the elite are thinking like how they can I guess, or like, yeah, like how are they thinking like to that they can control it all with this shift going on from like with regards to the ages. It really makes me wonder, and it kind of also makes me wonder like, well, what's actually the real genuine Aquarian shift, the grander shift that's really going on in that sense, because it doesn't feel like it's the whole like weird metaverse in a disassociative manner, nor like this that weird like technological control state that like doesn't feel at all like it at all.
That's a really good question. Like the whole transhumanism agenda type of thing, right? I think that's maybe like a false light, or maybe how it seems. I'm gonna actually go ahead and just kind of double down on so if anything, given everything we've saying, it's like what the real nature of it is and the true form of it isn't seen. It's almost invisible. It's like the true nature of the new age, the community, the genius, the innovation, which we might see technologically, but it's like that essence of it starting out, especially, it's not broadcasted, it's not seen, it's underground. So it's almost bringing us out of the mainstream. Like this is really, if anything, the next decade we're going to see so many people just being disillusioned by mainstream entertainment, news, social media, and bringing that community to niche groups, to individual groups, kind of stepping into that. I mean, once again, like we live in an age where Twitch streamers, video game, YouTube streamers, or streamers can just get like hundreds of $1,000s a month just streaming. And now this puts people in a position to bypass the need for some corporate organization to actually, on their own platform make moves. So it's not, I wouldn't say equaling the playing field, but it's opening up so much that's hard to regulate. And yeah, as people kind of just come out of the of the lies, uh then that's I agree, like that's really that feel where you don't feel like it's the metaverse, you don't feel like it's the AI, because it's really not. I think that's the false image presented by these dark forces to deceive people, and the people who buy into that program go into that, versus people coming out to reintegrate with what and who they truly are. And of course, it's balance too. People might incorporate a little bit of everything, but
Yeah.
realistically, it's just identifying a new individuality and how we kind of define that moving forward. Really cool.
Really good answer, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. With the Age of Aquarius, we have also had this theory that Aquarius is kind of like the gardener because he carries water and pours it all over. So maybe there'll be more gardeners too.
Yeah, if anything, like community farming, community gardening. I totally believe that, especially with Uranus and Taurus. Maybe like smart plants. And I just had a vision right now of like a literal community garden where everyone's encouraged to learn how to grow and they all grow together and help each other. So I totally agree with that. Although that might cause disputes in land ownership, but I mean, that would probably be inevitable anyway. So.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I've in that sense also talked quite a few times with one dude who sadly couldn't make it to this one, who talks a lot about like off grid living too, and he's been within his state seeing like more and more like that there's this like well undercurrent like going on where people want to like build their own networks, build their own things like their own um, well internet, their own way of communicating, growing food, and doing everything in that sense themselves. I think he was seeing it in something in a light of that like everyone is building their own little kingdom in some sense, and they're negotiating.
Yep. Like they're building their own value and their own currency.
Yeah.
And those who do that are going to be the movers, the shakers, the leaders, or you're spending someone else's currency. Like, yeah, so that I really enjoy. I think that's awesome because we're going to innovate ways outside of control regulation in the system so that we can now be the control and the regulation. And yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you guys once again for having me join y'all. It was definitely fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah. I don't know if any of if you want to add still something that you feel like adding.
Oh, great question. Well, relative to the unveiling with this apocalypse cycle and these, threats and rumors of war, I think what we're getting ready to see is a very, very, once in a lifetime shift of power in the world. And as it's happening, we're not going to recognize it until after the fact. And the whole world will have to adapt. And the only thing I want to say is a whole new wave of you know potential chaos through even more deception is coming through. Everything literally has been set and stage. If we think about everything that's happened as pieces of a board set and stage for this new wave, for this new cycle, people who aren't centered in themselves, focused on who they are and what they're doing, are going to be completely taken over this wave. And and people who are centered in themselves and focused won't be distracted, and they're going to take advantage of the energy to accomplish things in a short amount of time that
Mm-hmm.
99% of the rest of the world will not. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited about that. And yeah, all power to all of you.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I'm in that sense also excited about like this focus with like the North Node in Taurus about like the more embodied yeah, the more embodiment focus in that sense. And I think it's like yeah, in that sense really like an important thing right now to be in, like you said, in that center, and so you're not shaken up by, well, yeah, all that those fear waves. And yeah, you're correct with like the Ukraine thing. It's like 2014, I think it was, so like something like that, or that it started, or even, and it like, yeah, it's a lot of these things have been some time in the making.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Really enjoyed this talk. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was really cool.
Yeah,
And yeah,
of course.
I'll definitely keep in touch.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You can hop on here anytime. Like just
Awesome.
shoot me a message, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was
Thank you
awesome
guys
having you
again.
here.
Y'all have a blessed weekend.
Yes. You too. Okay. Peace.
Peace out.
Yes.